this light side instead. That's a little
There we
better.
go.
Yeah. Less glare on me?
Yeah, the glare is great, sir.
No worries. Please, it's not sir, it's Doug.
Yeah. So me jump right ahead. So, you know, as you being an actor, when did you discover the passion for acting, you know, the performing arts of it? Like when did you say like I love being an actor, you know?
It was when I was a kid, actually, doing
Mhm.
plays and things in school and that kind of thing. And I seemed to have some skill at it. And I even went to a summer camp where they did have plays and things. But
Oh wow.
yeah, but so they had a little theater arts thing. But I'm a short guy. I used to wear glasses. I've got lenses put in my eyes now.
Yeah.
So I was never getting the lead in anything. I was always like fourth guy down or whatever. It was the handsome tall guys got the leads. So I'm doing little stuff, but I'm thinking, well, I can't be an actor because you got to be real handsome, like movie actor stuff.
Right, right.
But then eventually I started to get other roles where they said, he's a good actor. So not romantic leads, but other kinds of roles that you didn't have to be 6'2" to do,
Mhm.
and stuff. So it was encouraging, but I'm originally from Canada, and
Right. Hmm.
to make your living as an actor in Canada was so few people could do it at the time that I was growing up, before it kind of became a big industry up there.
Right.
So I did theater. I did amateur theater even in my teens. I was doing other stuff, and once in a while I'd go join a theater group or something and do some plays and things like that. Um, but never dreaming that I could make a living at it. But it was always in me. The passion was always
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. So like it definitely helped you transition to being an actor on a professional level, you know what I mean? So it's like, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah. I have to have, because it's a tough business. You better have a fire.
Oh yeah.
You got to have a fire that's burning in you that says there's nothing else. I mean, I've been working, supporting myself since I was 16. So yeah, I left school at 16 and I went to work. Uh, so I did a lot of other things and had a lot of other kinds of jobs,
Mhm.
everything from factory work, and I hitchhiked and traveled a lot. I was a long hair hippie type, so I did a lot of different things, and I
Mhm.
mocked up fast food restaurants, drove cabs, but then I also was a manager of computer security for a big company. So I did all kinds of different
A lot
things.
of day jobs just to make sure you keep your passion burning alive as being an
Well,
actor.
got to pay the rent and stuff,
Yeah.
but it got to a point where I went back to doing theater at night. Figuring, okay, I'll just do this. I guess it's going to be a hobby of mine or something.
Right,
But
right.
I got real lucky at a job I was at. Um, they said we need somebody to do some voiceover work within the company. Uh, um, there's something called scratch tracks for commercials. So before they record a big star doing a commercial, they get some other guy to come in and read it a couple of times to see how it sounds, does it fit, whatever, pay them low end money. And then when everything's perfect, then they bring in the big star to do the commercial and all goes smooth. So they said, "Do you want to do some?" I said, "Yeah, it'd be fun."
Yeah.
They liked me. I kept doing it and they started to pay me, they said, "Look, you've been doing, we're going to get you $100 for this." So I went,
Yeah.
"Wait a minute, I can get paid for this?"
uh,
Whoa.
yeah, I know the feeling. I know
Yeah.
exactly what you're feeling.
Yeah. Light goes on. So I'm doing theater, and I'm doing more and more theater I'm starting to work with professionals like who are equity. I'm non-equity, I'm amateur, but suddenly I'm in plays with equity people and I'm holding my own and I'm going, I'm with people who are union members and I'm doing okay. And I'm doing this voiceover thing and it's starting to bring in money. If I could get plays that paid equity pay and I could get a little bit of money doing voiceover elsewhere, I don't care if I'm poor. If I
Yeah.
can just pay the rent, all I want to do is be in the arts. And as long as I can just eat enough to get by and pay the rent,
Yeah.
that'll do it,
As
man.
long as you have
Follow your heart, right?
right, as long as you have like a shelter over your head, you're good and
I,
done.
Yeah, because I've been dirt poor when I was young. I've been real poor. So it didn't
Yeah,
scare me
same.
to not have much money. Yeah. I mean, I've been to the point where I didn't have next meal. I didn't
Oof.
have money for the next meal and stuff. I've been there. So I didn't scare easily in this case. So anyway, I made a demo tape, sent it out got a little bit of work. I didn't know what I was doing. It's a horrible demo tape, but I got a little bit of work doing Santa Claus and this, commercials. And I said, I'm quitting the job. I'm quitting the job. I'm going full time. And that's what I did. And knock on wood, it was a long path and I worked real hard, but, gradually I kept going and this is what I've been doing ever since, just this. So I'm one of the lucky ones.
Excellent job. And the thing is, when did you want to move like literally to like Southern California and the LA area? Because
Well,
you being from Toronto, Canada, that's a huge move. You coming from one country to another, even though it's like right next.
Yeah.
US is right, yeah. But can you please explain that transition? Because that guy had to be a big journey for you personally, just to move somewhere you're accustomed to another country.
To some degree it was, but bear in mind when I talk about hitchhiking,
Yeah.
I'd hitchhiked across Canada. I'd also hitchhiked in the States.
Mhm.
I'd lived in Atlanta, Georgia for about 6 months.
Okay.
I was into meditation. I was living in a place where we meditated in Atlanta and then hitchhiked back. And I'd been to LA about 3 or 4 times to visit buddies of mine who had run away from home to be musicians. And I've been working since I was 16. I'd save money for 8, 9, 10 months. And then I'd quit the job and I'd go spend 2 months in LA with my buddy. So I was familiar with the city, but it was a big jump to think about moving here. But what happened was I got the mask.
Ah!
My brother bought me this.
Oh, that's nice.
Present for the cold winter nights.
Yeah.
So sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, you're fine. I was about to jump into math sooner or later, but I want you to continue your story because I'm really intrigued to hear because, Canada to America, man, is.
Well, it was Mask that got me here. I was doing on camera work as well in Canada at that point.
Okay.
So I was doing these not high budget stuff.
Right.
In those days, shot to video, so it was cheaper. But Canada was just starting to get its own little industry going. And suddenly I could make money doing these small films. Excuse me. So I'm doing theater.
Yeah, no problem.
I'm doing voiceover and I'm doing on camera work. And like, man, I'm paying the rent. This is great. Not making it, but I'm paying the rent. And on one of the films, let me take a drink here.
Yeah, take your time.
The cinematographer on the film says, Doug, who's your agent? And I was with the small agent. And he was very nice. He said, you're a good actor. You should be with a better agent. Why don't you go to this agency and tell them I sent you? He was an older guy. He was older than all of us. And I thought, well, I'll try. I feel kind of silly just saying Fred's, I forget his name now, sent me. But I did. And they interviewed me and they said, well, if he recommended you, we'll sign you. Now, since that time, I have thanked him and I took him out for lunch and, all that, because it changed my life. So this agency signs me and within 6 months, they're one of the, I think, 2 agents in Toronto who get auditions for a cartoon series that is being produced by French, American, and Canadian partners, 3 different countries.
Yeah, for sure.
It's going to record in LA called Mask.
Yeah.
So I auditioned for it up in Toronto. And
okay.
And they're interested in me and they're doing it long distance, and I'm in a sound studio.
Yeah.
And they're directing me from LA and they're kind of nervous because I'm not down here. So they can't meet me. So they had me in about 3 times and they're putting me through the ring. We'll try this, we'll try that. They want to see if I can be directed properly and, can I do it under pressure before I come.
Oh, for sure. You can, for sure, man.
Because they're investing.
Yes, now since we're on Mask, I was trying to wait a little longer, but we can jump right into it. So with Mask, I have to say, Doug, you really define what it means to be a character actor. Not only you played Matt Tracker, you also played additional other roles too within the series. So
yeah,
what's it like, jumping from one role to another character? Because being a character actor, you just got, I don't want to call it method acting, but you want to make sure that this character is different from Matt Tracker, which is, well, let me go back to Matt being your special to you because that's a lead role for you. So
yeah, it was. Yeah.
All the actors I've talked to, they share that they always enjoy having the lead role because it's always special to them. It may not be too popular where everybody else, but they enjoy working on it, performing for it, and they would do it again if they had the opportunity to do it, And that's how you feel if Max were going to make a return, will you do Matt?
Oh yeah. I I mean, they talk about bringing it back all the time. The only thing,
Mhm.
and they've tried a few times with GI Joe stuff. The
Yeah.
only thing is that I think fans forget, and I have to be honest with myself, is that my voice has changed.
Yeah, for sure.
It
It's been
has
a long
aged.
time.
Yeah, that was like 1985, 6.
Yeah.
That's getting on to close to 40 years ago. So though I don't sound like an old, but still my voice has changed. So I think if they brought it back, I'd be better, to be honest. I'd love to be Matt, but I think I'd be better off being Matt's dad.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
can
if it
see
was up to
that.
me, I'd say launch it, have a new hero who's in his 32 years old or whatever, prime of life, and have his dad be Matt Tracker, former head of Mask, who advises his son and maybe travels, doesn't do the fighting, but travels with him and advises him, whatever. That would be a lot of fun.
That would be cool. And
Yeah.
diverging from Mass for a bit, since we're already in the 80s, when did you cross paths with this production company called Harmony Go? That's where you meet a lot of the veterans like Michael Sorich, Wendy Lee, Rob Axelrod, a lot of the veteran actors from back in those days where we're dubbing looping as you guys call it back in the day was
Yeah.
really really technical. So how was it for you to do dubbing and technical looping like that?
Dubbing was interesting. And yeah, Harmony Gold was one of the companies that we all met in. I was doing Mask, and the company that wrote the music was called Saban.
Okay,
That's,
there we go.
that was before Power Rangers.
Right.
So they're just a music company. And they contact the Mask people and say, we don't know any actors because we're a music company, but we got some stuff that we want to dub. We want to do it into English. No, I'd heard of dubbing and I'd seen dubbing, but I hadn't done it. So they actually hired a few of us to come in to dub. And I just took to it. I don't know, just was lucky, but I'm very mathematical and technical minded as well as an actor. I used to work in the computer industry and stuff.
Hmm.
So when it came to it, I just kind of analyzed it and went, okay, so if I put the pause here and I stopped there and I did it, okay, I can make it fit. It was really challenging. So I started to do some of that dubbing, and I didn't think it was going to go anywhere. I thought, well, it's a couple extra bucks.
Yeah.
But then they ended up doing some more of it. And then I don't remember who it was, but one of the people directing there went to another studio and they said, oh, Doug, we got this thing going, come and work with us. And that's when I met some other guys who'd already been doing it for a year or two, like Mikey Sorich and Richard Epcar,
Yeah,
and
Richard Epcar.
people that you mentioned, who had been doing it for maybe a year and a half or so before
Yeah.
I got involved. So I met all those people, and we were like this tiny little industry because it was sort of anime was just
Yeah, it was really
a-
minuscule back in the day. Very
yeah,
like
yeah.
low key.
Yeah, most of what we were dubbing was live action foreign film
Yeah.
and a lot of Mexican cartoons and stuff. Not a lot of Japanese, just a
Right.
few little things. But then we were kind of there at the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, so like around that same time too, I guess probably a couple of years later, going into the 90s, that's how you get in like cahoots with Kevin Seymour with Animes and Magnitude 8 Studios too. Like, because Michael Soares, Richard Epcar.
Well,
Kurt-
Kevin, I became house director. I started to cast things, and
Oh,
oh yeah, it's not on my IMDb, all
yeah.
my credits, but I've got lots of 1,500 more credits than are on the IMDb or more.
Yeah.
I don't know. But anyway, I started to cast and direct and dubbing at first, and then also video games. When video games first started, I
Yeah.
did like one of the first Dynasty Warriors.
Yes, you did. Yeah, you did.
Different games that came along, and they're not all listed. But anyway, I'm directing and casting, and I became a house director at the studio, not around anymore, called Intersound. And a gentleman named Kevin Seymour came in with his partner, and they were into anime, and they were selling stuff like anime toys and videos, whatever. And they got this idea of, let's buy some of the stuff and dub it ourselves, but we don't know how to do it. So they came there, and I directed. I think it was called Alma Wind of Light or something. I can't remember, but it was one of Kevin's first projects, and I directed it
Yeah.
for him. And then Kevin went off and partnered up with this gentleman. I've lost his name.
Is it Victor Garcia or?
No, it was a Japanese gentleman.
Okay,
Kevin. And they went to Magnitude 8 Studios
Hmm.
and with Les Seymour, Les Claypool, excuse me.
Yeah, take your time.
And that studio doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Les
because
got tinnitus and couldn't continue. But anyway, that's where they went. And so I did some of Kevin's original casting on some of those first games. I
cool.
introduced him to people like Bo Billingsley and other folks that I sent to him when he was first starting to direct his own projects.
Mm,
And then Kevin would have me come in occasionally too and act for him. And I may have directed one or two of the projects when he got Overflow. And
yeah, he did a lot back in the
he did a
day.
lot. And I sent him, I had met an engineer on one of the things that I was doing, Joe Ramersa.
Yeah.
And Joe's a musician, and I really liked his music, and we got along real well. And Kevin needed an engineer. I sent him Joe, and they just meshed. They became great pals. So Joe ended up being his engineer, and then he ended up directing stuff there as well, and wrote a lot of music for a lot of the projects and stuff, because Joe's a great musician. So I was
Yeah.
kind of there at the beginnings of a lot of people's careers, in the late 80s, early 90s, just sort of in the right spot. And
Right.
at that point, I had some influence because of casting and whatever, where I could help people out.
Exactly. And going back to with Richard Epcar, I know he directed you in a couple of productions and projects. This is one series, it's an old series called Go Panda Go. Do you remember working on that?
I don't remember exactly. I started directing about 2 years before Richard, a year and a half, 2 years before.
Okay.
So I directed him and stuff. He's directed
Yeah,
me.
he directed you and mhm.
Go Panda on the IMDb is listed like it's 1972 or it's
Yeah,
which
because I
is
know
not right. It was in the 80s or something. You know, they make mistakes. It was probably
Yeah.
originally animated in 70.
yeah, and yeah, in a different in the original setting. So that's like
Yeah.
they usually go by that. So I'm like, it can't be 72 because I know you've been in the business for like 50 years now. So it's like
It's no, it's for like 42 years.
42 years.
I
Okay.
got in full time around 81.
Okay. So
Um,
back before then, it was
so
just like
that's
like
working straight jobs and doing theater and doing, just doing amateur stuff that's not credited, in Wikipedia or the IMDb.
understandable
I don't
because
think
they
so anyway. Maybe one or two of them are, but most of it was amateur stuff. But Richard and I directed each other. I don't remember that one offhand. Seems to me it had a different title, and that happens a lot too.
yeah. I've
The
been
titles change, and you go, I don't recognize this at all. You have to see footage of it. Then you go, oh yeah, the panda. Okay, but so I don't remember that one offhand. But Richard and I both directed each other, in different
yeah.
projects back then. And I got out of dubbing for a while. In the 90s, I did from about 93 to 2002, I backed away from dubbing because I got into what was called looping,
Moving.
providing voices for TV shows and films. And
I was about-
I'm just going to say that's why you see it on the IMDb. I've done over 1,000 TV shows,
Yeah.
episodes, films, et cetera, over those years. And that paid so well that I just backed away from dubbing. And I
Right.
had my own group too. And
Oh.
my own group did about 250 shows. And then I did about 700 or 800 more for other groups as well. So my group did all the Hercules and Xena TV shows.
Yes, you did. That's right. I was so shocked. I was so shocked when I was doing some homework about you. I'm like, man, one of the things the fans don't realize that you guys, I do a lot more than just anime stuff. A lot of anime gigs. You guys do a lot of professional acting, actual acting type of work. You've been like behind the scenes, like wherever you feed that passion of yours, you go out and do. You don't just stay in like one side of the spectrum when it comes to acting, especially with something as technical like dubbing.
Yeah, I think also because I wasn't raised with anime, I think a lot
Right.
of the younger actors are really focused on dubbing a lot because they're passionate about anime. I'm passionate about acting. I mean, I started off on stage
Yeah.
and on camera and whatever. So to me, dubbing is just one of many. Like, just give
Acting.
me a juicy role I can dig my teeth into. I don't care if it's anime or a game or if it's looping on a film and replace. Like sometimes you replace a whole performance in a film.
Yeah.
Maybe like I've had one case in a film where and I don't agree with it, but it was a Michael Caine film, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And they had, I think a Japanese guy played the captain or something in this film. And they felt his accent was too heavy for American audiences. And I listened to it and I thought, no, man, his English is great and his
Yeah,
accent
I
isn't
said the same
super
thing.
heavy. But they said, no, no, we're going to replace his whole performance. Well, okay, I'll audition. I ended up doing it. So, you know, you don't, that's not credited. They still show
Yeah,
his name, but you end up doing that. And I voice matched Joe Pesci. I
yeah,
voice matched different people over the years, you know, you
yeah,
do little bits here and there and stuff. So it's all acting. It's all good.
for sure. And it's a coincidence you mentioned about voice matching like Joe Pesci. I remember a couple of months ago, I interviewed Melody Spivak. She actually revealed that she actually voice matched Sigourney Weaver in one of the Alien movies.
Oh,
So like that you know, it's one of these things. The reason why I like to interview you guys because I know there's a lot more to you guys than just the popular anime stuff from my generation. Because you guys, y'all been through so much with your acting careers that I hate for it to get like underrated. I don't want to call it underrated. It just gets
I hear you.
sidetracked because people don't. Most fans don't care about the other stuff that you guys known to do. And with that being said, and going into the
Just to jump in
'90s,
for one sec, Melody, by the way, did a lot of the Hercules and Xena stuff.
yes, she did too.
Yeah, because she, you know, she's a fight expert, you know, swords person and expert. So she was great for the fight sequences and
Yeah,
Xena.
yeah, I saw this movie. Oh, I forgot the name. She worked on this film called Spellbinder. She did like she played some kind of martial artist. It was so funny because as you know, when you see her perform it, she's really intense and very physical with it too. And then there was one stand where she had to be flipped over the balcony
Oh wow,
down the stairs, you know. So yeah, she did like she shared me so much of her stunt work because
cool.
she's really amazing physical when it comes to acting for sure, you know.
Yeah,
And going still in the '90s, you with Saban Entertainment, you worked on this show called Power Rangers. You played this and this wacky monster called Eyes Guy. Is
yeah. I did a couple of monsters.
yeah, you
Eyes Guy seemed to be the one that people remember. Yeah,
yeah, but the one monster I do remember you playing is called Skelecron from a later rendition of Power Rangers. And were you directed by Scott Page Pactor at the time, or was it
yeah.
another?
Most of the time, Scott directed. He's the
Okay.
one that gave me permission when I was joking around. Eye Guy, I think, is the one that sounds like Sean Connery, right? So I had just mastered that imitation. It was kind of a new thing, and I was playing with it all the time.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've done it. Sean
That's
Connery,
fun.
right? I think I learned it from Michael Sorge, who
Yeah.
was the first who did it. So I come in and I'm just joking with Scott, and I say, "Well, what if he sounds like this?" And I think Scott's going to go, "Doug, you know that's funny, but no." But Scott goes, "That could work." I said, "Scott, you can't be serious. A monster," and he's going to sound like he said, "The kids may not know, and it'll be funny. Do it, do it. Let's see what it sounds." So I did it, and he said, "Yeah, yeah, let's keep it." I kept thinking they were going to call me back and say, "What were you doing? Get back!" But they kept it. So
Yeah, it's amazing when you guys do like voiceover performances, y'all play homages to other like more famous actors and other characters that what they've done in their past career, even though as a kid, of course it's gonna go over my head because I'm not that articulated, very savvy when it comes to like classic actors like Sean Connery from the
sure,
James Bond film, you know. So
yeah, yeah, it's a little older before your time. Yeah,
way before my time.
yeah.
And now, still in the '90s, there's this one role which I know you've been popular with. Is from a series called the Metal Gear series with Chris Zimmerman. She was directing. It's called Psycho Mantis.
That sounds vaguely familiar. I think once in a blue moon, people remind me of that. Very rare.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lego Man. But I'll tell you something about it. I didn't know it was a big deal.
Yeah.
I didn't know it had hit, and I was at a convention for Mask,
Hmm.
and I'd say a third of the people came up wanted to talk about Psycho Mantis, and I'm going, Psycho Mantis, that's vaguely from, and they were upset with me. And I thought,
Oh
oh man,
yeah.
I better check this out. So I get the internet, I look it up, and I go, oh man, he's like top 5 villain list and all these. I had no idea that he still
Yeah.
was so popular.
Yeah. And I want to be curious about this. What was like being directed by Chris Zimmerman? Because I remember R. Martin Klein, he shared that she's also a great voiceover coach too. And when he starting out in anime dubbing back in the early '90s, that he said Chris Zimmerman helped him out so much for that transition of being a voiceover actor. Did she help a lot with your guidance of performing this, I
Well,
forgot the name of the character too. We just mentioned. Sorry about that.
Psycho Mantis.
Yeah, Psycho Mantis. I'm sorry. I haven't played Metal Gear in a long time, so I do remember Psycho Mantis being such a crazy. He's a nut character for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God, what is like playing that kind of role where he's literally a megalomaniac for sure because he
Oh,
got.
I love it. You can really sink your teeth into. I mean, Matt Tracker is a different kind of a challenge where you want to get out that he's not only a hero, he's a loving dad, he's a
Mhm.
leader, he's got to have
Yeah,
certain qualities in his demeanor, and that's one kind of challenge. But then a guy like Psycho Mantis who might just say, I don't like the way you looked at me, and rip your head off
yeah,
and
yeah,
not even be concerned that he did it. That's a whole other place to go. So it's a lot of fun as an actor to do that.
yeah,
Um, I don't remember. I do remember Chris directing me. The big part of that was finding the voice, and I had found that before I came in because I'd auditioned for it. And I don't remember exactly what the breakdown said, but I think it did say that he was foreign, but they weren't quite sure where he was from. They wanted to have a strange an accent, and I thought,
yeah.
okay, I'm going to combine up. I think I took sort of a German and a Russian and sort of
Mm,
combined them
yeah,
that it would be pronouncing words the way nobody else quite did. So he'd be totally unique. And then vocal, positioning in I don't remember where I put him now, but in his own
yeah,
spot. And where he'd occasionally, if he got excited, he'd peak up a little bit. His voice would go up a little bit higher.
yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah, I'm totally self-involved. So I had the character. So Chris didn't have to work with me a lot on the voice. That I kind of came in with.
hmm,
Uh, and I think I'd already worked on Metal Gear doing some smaller roles in earlier
yeah,
ones. So I knew what the show was about, but she certainly directed me a lot in performance,
hmm,
in what she wanted, where she wanted to go, so, the music of it, if you will, the
yeah.
music of the performance is where she kind of guided me through.
Yep, and with Psycho Mantis, and that's one of those gigs that keep on gigging. Sorry for the bad pun, because the character keeps returning in various iteration of Metal Gear Solid. So like, in addition to playing Psycho Mantis, I know you did some. This could be a false narrative, but I think you did some narration in one of the Metal Gear games from probably like over a decade ago. So in addition to Psycho Mantis, is that
If
you?
I haven't done any Metal Gears in a long time.
Yeah.
It's possible that I maybe did narration on some narration on something. I don't
Yeah, it's
remember that.
called Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots. That's the name of the game. So you probably won't remember. It's a while back too, like
Yeah,
oh
I don't
seven or probably
remember.
15 years
Oh,
ago.
was it narration all the way through?
No, I think it was just a small narration part. And
Oh,
then in addition to you playing
maybe.
Psycho Mantis, so you probably wouldn't remember too much about
Yeah,
that.
it's possible that I did, but if it was around the Psycho time, then that was really where my main focus was, because that
Mhm.
was exhausting and that was a real challenging
Yeah.
couple of hours in the studio doing Psycho, because
Whew.
I mean, you got to move your body sometimes when
Yeah.
you're acting. You got to
Yeah.
physically do things to get that adrenaline up and move it.
Yeah.
It's like with Hercules and Xena, when you do fight stuff, when you're doing a fight scene, and maybe Melody does the same. I was punching when I was doing it.
Yeah.
Because you can't stand there and go, hit them. To me, it doesn't sound as powerful. You got to
Yeah.
engage your whole body. So roles like Psycho are exhausting to
Yeah.
do.
And now this is definitely still like in the late 90s, going into the early 21st century. You managed to get involved with another company called Bang Zoom Entertainment.
Oh, yeah. I
You
actually
were
started with them in about 95 or 6
okay, a
when they
little
first
bit
started.
early on. I forgot about that. That's true. But there's one series that I enjoy hearing your voice every now and then is from Rurouni Kenshin. That's when they had so many directors like Richard and Ellen, Michael Surridge, Eric, and oh man, Keiko. Is it as an actor? Is it kind of fun to see like a different a different director?
I got a visitor.
Yeah, I have a cat too, so I saw the tail. So yeah, he's a cat
Yeah,
person
my
too.
manager's here. Well, the cat assumes that when I'm talking, I must be talking to her. So come on the video, because you're just, one of those videos that I watch, as far as
Yeah,
she's concerned. Getting directed by different directors on the same
yeah,
series.
yeah. What's it like? Is it like fun because you always see somebody new? So you see like Ellen in one session, and then Michael Surridge in another session of Rurouni Kenshin, and then Because you
Well,
had various roles within that series. So they like, I guess one of them contact you to say, "Hey, Doug, we want you to play this character. Are you available for that time period?" And then he's like, "Yeah, you know."
yeah, well, it varies. Sometimes you audition. The longer you're in the business, the more that magic phone call comes or email comes instead, where they just say, "Oh, we got something for you. Are you interested?" And you
Yeah.
go, "Yeah, yeah, great. I'll come in." And you don't even have to audition, which is cool.
Yeah.
Uh, which is, I don't mind auditioning, but it's kind of nice when it's just like, "Hey, you free on Wednesday? Okay, come play." Um, I don't really, it doesn't affect me much when the directors change because usually those sessions are spaced so far apart.
Hmm.
Like say Michael was directing 13 episodes and then a new, another 13 come along 2 years later and Richard or somebody else is directing it.
Yeah.
I've already forgotten. I've had 100 jobs in the meantime or whatever. And I just go, remind me what it is. Is it a character I did before? Can you play me a little bit to remind me what he sounds like? Because I may not remember it all. Usually don't, unless it's a very iconic character. It always helps to hear it. You go, oh, okay, I remember this. Got it, got it, got it. And then you just go, the directors, I've been directing too. And you just have to trust your director. And your job is to cooperate, make their job as easy as possible. You have to assume that they've watched the whole thing. They know the flow of the whole series and
Yeah.
what they need. And it's your one musician in the orchestra. So
Mhm.
your job is play that trumpet the way they need you to play it, because that's going to fit in with the solo. I like to think of it as music. That's
Yeah,
going to fit with this
it
and
is.
that. And you can't just say, well, I want to play it this way. It's going to
No.
mess up the story. No, he's got to be sad at that point, because what's going to happen in 2 episodes from now is it's going to turn out his daughter isn't speaking to him. And that's why, and the director knows all this. So
Yeah.
you're trusting them to guide you. So it doesn't really affect me when different directors on the same series. I just
Yeah.
put my trust in them that they're going to know,
Yeah.
what it is they need from me.
Yeah, because as you know, like one of the things I learned from like various veteran actors, like there's this phrase called "there's too many cooks in the kitchen." It's like if there's so many people be in one production, it can screw up because I'm pretty sure you already, well, I'm not saying pretty sure, I know you know because he directed you before. I'll discuss that later. So, but I'm going to jump ahead a little bit further. You also got coordinated with this another production company that work on dubbing like Studiopolis.
Mhm.
There's one big huge series called Naruto, which you've been involved with
Yeah.
for a long time, a very long time at that. As you start coming in doing your first role as Fugaku Uchiha, Sasuke's dad,
Yeah.
with Mary Elizabeth McGlynn directing you, which you actually directed before on the Dynasty Warrior games too, right before she directed you on the Naruto series.
She
So
may have, she directed me on a few different things here and there. She was also working for
yeah,
Kevin for a while.
yes, that's right, that's true.
Yeah. So I can't remember what the first thing she directed me on, but Naruto, there was again, lots of different directors over the
Yes.
years. But I'm sure I can't remember but
Oh,
I guess
I can give you names. I think Jamie Simone was directing a couple of times too when like
with Jamie, yeah, Jamie owns the company, Studio
yeah.
Opera. Jamie used to be with Saban. That's right.
Right, yeah.
Back when
Uh,
I had directed Saban's first original animation series, Little Mouse on the Prairie, and had directed a few other things for Saban over the years too. So I knew Jamie from there. But anyway, go ahead. About Naruto, yeah.
Yeah, so you play this dad character, so it's Sasuke's dad, Fugaku Uchiha. So playing. What's your take on playing dad characters like Fugaku? Because he's like strict,
Yeah.
he expects so much from both his sons, like saying, "Oh, you're good. If you keep it up, you'll be just like your brother." So like, but then again, he's also shown there's a softer side to him. Like he'll always have that hard ass case towards his son, but when he's sharing it with his wife, like, man, I'm very proud of this boy. He's always trying his best. So
Yeah.
playing such a complex character and then finding out that you're only getting killed by your own son and just accept it, and as an actor, you scratching your head, Mary just look. I'm pretty sure Mary just look at you. Yeah, this is a really complex story for sure, dog.
Well, when you come in on a dubbing project, time is of the essence. So you don't always get tons of explanation. You just get a short one. You may not know the whole
story
wave of the story and the whole where it's going, but they'll just give you sort of a rundown of what your character's like, where he fits in the general story and
Mhm.
of the episode you're in, kind of where it's headed. I didn't like him, but
Okay, yeah, fine,
I
that's
have
fine.
to, I have to like him because I'm playing him.
Yeah.
You have to, you have to find something that you can attach to because
Mhm.
we're all heroes in our own movie. I mean,
Right, right.
we're all of us seeing it through these eyes, and everybody else is out there, and it's our story. Every
Yeah.
character you play, it's his story. If you're the waiter in a movie and you come in and give somebody a drink,
No.
the movie is about a waiter who gives a drink, and everybody else is the extra. I mean, that's how you kind of have to think so you can
Yeah.
get right inside the character. I don't know
Yeah,
what it
and
is.
I can't thank Mary Elizabeth enough because she knows Naruto a lot.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
She gets with the many actors she directed during her time as a director before she like moved on to other projects, and now she do a great job directing you guys, and you guys give out so much for your performances. Yeah, I really do understand what's going on within the context of each scene you guys are performing, and especially when.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, I was watching Boruto, another iteration with another sequel to Naruto, where Ryan Johnston and Suzanne Goldis directed you, and Sasuke Dad comes back, and I hear your voice again. I'm like, okay, when are
Yeah.
they gonna stop bringing back characters? And then like, I'm pretty sure you go into the booth and like, did he die?
Yeah, but I was
Yeah,
happy to come back on him. I did another one in Baruto too. I did a
yeah,
bad.
yeah. They Ryan and Susie been well, Suzanne. I don't want to call her Susie because I don't know her personally, so I'll just call her Suzanne. They like to use you guys whenever they can, so I can't thank them enough that they do their research, they on the same page because with a longevity series like Naruto, you have to be on the same page. You also got to understand the actors coming back to do these roles because chances are it could be like a long hiatus, like, oh my gosh, I haven't did this character in like 5 years. What did he sound like? You know?
Yeah. And when they give you new ones, it helps if they like that villain guy didn't
Mhm.
sound like the dad. So
Yeah.
it really helps if they say, okay, he did this. We want to bring him back. Well, this guy, he'll do so, let's get him to do something that doesn't sound like that. And he's a
Mhm.
very different kind of a guy.
Yeah.
Different body type, different
Yeah.
mindset or whatever.
Yeah.
So the fans won't be going, oh man, he sounds just like the dad. That
Yeah.
sucks or whatever.
Oh, thank you for reminding me this. Another notable role which probably fans approach you with in conventions is the role of Hagoromo Otsutsuki, which you took over from Michael McConaughey. So, can
Oh,
you, yeah, can you explain that process where they just either I'm not sure if Jamie Simone or Rita Acosta Magica contacted you saying that Michael can't finish the. Was it like was that type of deal where you just had
yeah.
to come in and fill in?
Yeah, exactly. That's what happened. Yeah. Mike, it wasn't Michael was doing great. It wasn't that they let him go or
Mhm.
anything. He was terrific at it. But Michael was moving out of town.
Oh
And
yeah, he moved to Las Vegas, right? At the
uh,
time.
no, he's moved elsewhere, but I don't want to give out
No,
his
yeah, yeah, no worries.
stuff.
I
But anyway, he
understand.
was leaving and this is pre-COVID. So they
Yeah,
hadn't really perfected the record because now we can dub from home.
right, right, right.
During COVID, they had to kind of come up with the technology, but at that time, you had to be in studio and Michael was leaving. So um, he had he had voice matched me before
Yeah,
years
he did.
back at Saban. So they knew that Michael and I could kind of sound a bit alike, not the same.
Yeah.
But we could get kind of close. So I guess they thought
Mhm.
of me, either Rita or Jamie
For
thought
sure.
maybe Doug would be the right way. I don't know if they tried anybody else. But anyway, they called me and I checked with Michael and said, is it cool? I mean, are you actually? He's, oh yeah, yeah. I have to
Yeah.
because you don't want to step on a friend's work.
Right. And the thing is, it's a good thing that they catch that with their ears because you when it comes to like certain roles, you and Michael McConaughey, you guys, when you perform certain characters, you guys perform them in the utmost sophistication when you bring to your performance of your voice too, because somebody like Hagoromo Otsutsuki, he played this godfather type character. I don't want to say godfather from the film Godfather, but like more of a grandfather wise men type. You guys perfected that role for sure. So I was a little bummed that Michael couldn't continue on, but I was really happy that they got you filling in and you stayed in to the end. I can't thank you enough. You also voiced. Sorry, I'm jumping too fast.
No, no,
You
that's
also,
okay.
you voiced a character called Geratora. It's like a toad with a scroll.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
when you see a character like that, do you take a quick second just to laugh at it? Because
Oh yeah, but I mean, over the years, you end up doing so many. There was a, I don't know if I think Michael's pet. There's a gentleman named Mike Reynolds, and I think he's
yeah,
passed.
Oh man, he just passed away too this year. Oh my gosh.
So Mike Reynolds, who kind of
There we go. That's yeah.
Jesus Christ, what the hell are we doing now? We always used to joke and imitate Michael. Michael one time tells the story that he came in to do some early anime, and he's doing a few things. And I don't know who was directing. Maybe it was Epcar or somebody. Said, Mike, I don't know how to ask you to do this, but that inanimate object there is going to speak, and you've got to. Can you do a voice for it? And it was a piece of shit. It was talking.
Oh
doo-doo,
no.
So he went, what the hell? So he did it. But he, for years would laugh about it and say,
Yeah.
10 years studying acting at the Old Vic and I'm voicing a piece of shit. What the hell? So anyway, you do end up voicing some very strange things. So when they said, here's a toad with a scroll, I went, what else is new? Of course, it's a toad with a scroll. Do you want him to be really cartoony or do you want him to be more
sophisticated?
Just tell me what you want,
And of course, the voice came out. It's another sophisticated role because he was like straight to the point, no nonsense. Like, hey, Naruto, you gotta understand the Naruto's power of this and that. And you did a really. And then there was this one scene where you had to climb into Naruto. You had to climb. Your character Naruto had to climb into Naruto's mouth in order to finish the sign and say, "What you gonna do? What are you doing? You want me to go inside your mouth?" Or like.
I can't remember that particular scene.
Yeah, it's a goofy scene where if you were in a professional, you just laugh like, okay, let me take a step back, Mary, But you, even when you do sophisticated role, you always give out a chuckle from me for sure because the characters you played in Naruto, I can't thank you enough for what you've done within the series. I can't thank Mary, Jamie, Rita, Ryan, and Suzanne. Thank you guys. And thank you, Doug, for what you gave for Naruto.
Well, you're very welcome. I do believe in every role you do, that's your job. And if you're doing what you're passionate about, you got to always do your best. Always try to honor the work as best you can and be as truthful as you can. Even if it's a wacky cartoon character.
Yeah.
Be truthful about him. That's what he is. That's who he is. So play him honest, as honestly as you can.
Yeah, and I guess I hate to drag to another character you may not like. His name is director Hashima from this series called Digimon Data Squad with Jeff Nimoy directing from Studiopolis again. This is right around the time where you were doing Naruto 2 around the earlier years. So do you vaguely recall that session with Jeff Nimoy on Digimon?
No, I started. I'm going to see Jeff for lunch in a week from tomorrow.
Oh, nice! What a coincidence,
Yeah, him and Mike Storage.
And that's
Mikey Storage will be there, and Tom Fawn and Jonathan Fawn.
It's just so funny. I talked to Tom and Michael Storage. You guys are nuts when y'all get together. I can tell you guys are good friends.
It gets crazy. Those guys are just putting it. You have to get a word in because they're high energy guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't remember Jeff. I was directed by Jeff, and I kind of got Jeff into dubbing. We had done We had done.
I'm so sorry about this. Besides on Dynasty Warriors, you also directed a series called Gundam series back in the 90s.
Yeah.
That's where you directed Jeff then. That's right. I'm so sorry.
Even before, Jeff and I had done an original animation series. I don't remember what it was called, but it was racing cars and monsters and stuff. It's probably on the IMDb.
I think I want to say Mutant Leagues because that's not original animation, is it? Mutant Leagues?
Oh, yeah, you got it. Good.
Okay, there it is. Okay, I wasn't sure was it original animation or whatnot.
Yeah, it was. You got a great memory. Yeah, it was Mutant League. That's where I met Jeff.
Okay.
And, I said to him, you got a very interesting voice. It's different. It's just a little bit different. I said, do yourself a favor, call Rita at Saban at that time. She was at Saban, and I said, tell her I sent you, that I done a series with you, so I know you can act. And just tell her, you'd like to get into dubbing, or because he was new from New York and just trying to find stuff. But anyway, and then he got into directing, and on it went. But I don't remember that particular I remember working on Digimon, but I don't remember the session or anything.
Yeah, no worry, because that character is another character you will like. His name is Director Hashima. So I give you a brief synopsis of the character. He's one of those corporate CEO type characters. Like he's always black and white view. So like if you see something you don't like, he want it done. You don't care what collateral damage, make sure it's done. I don't care how they feel. It's one of those type characters you don't like that don't have like a open mind. They don't care about what if. They say it need to be expunged for sure. I don't care what's going on. It's getting out of hand. Get it done. So it's that character you wouldn't like anyway. So it's no worries. And speaking of the guys that you mentioned, do you remember directing Robert Martin Klein or R. Martin Klein, Bob Klein, or
Oh, sure.
I want to say he's, as much as I enjoy hearing him perform, I wish he was still doing more voiceover work, but he did tell me that anytime anybody contact him, he will still act, but he's mostly retired, as you already know.
No, I don't. I haven't spoken to Bob in a while. I mean, I know Bob a little bit socially too.
Yeah.
But no, I wasn't aware that how much he had, because I don't direct anymore. I
Right.
haven't directed probably in 10 years. I
Yeah.
think the last thing I did was Rise of Dragonian Era, which was
Yeah. Mhm.
probably in 2012 or 14, somewhere back
Yeah.
then. So anyway, I only see Bob socially, and we don't tend to discuss work.
Right. Because you guys are
We're
one
just
of-
just hey Bob, how you doing? What's up,
Yeah.
dude? Just like anybody, we're just
Yeah.
hanging. But anyway, but certainly, yeah. I know Bob, and
Yeah, and you know what? It's just crazy. I made a connection because, like, do you mind? Are you of Jewish descent?
yeah.
There's a reason why you guys click so much because Bob Klein is Jewish, Tom and Jonathan and Melissa Fon are Jewish, Jeff Nimoy are Jewish.
I guess so, except in my case, maybe it's true. When you're Jewish, when you become 13, you get a bar mitzvah, right?
Mhm.
And they say, okay, now you're a man, according to tradition. All the sins and everything you do falls on your shoulders, not on your dad's anymore.
Yeah.
So the first thing I did after I hit 13 was I went to my father and said, I resign. Because I think I'm an atheist and I just don't get it. And I don't want to go to synagogue and I don't want to follow religion anymore. And I just want
Yeah.
to do my own investigating. So I haven't been associated. I got into meditation and I looked at Buddhism and I read the whole Bible, New and Old. I mean, I did my own stuff. I went to
Right.
India and meditated. So I'm not very culturally associated with Judaism really, but
Okay,
but
that's
maybe
no
it's,
problem.
maybe it's deeper in me culturally than I realize. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just
But
like
there's a lot of Jewish people in the business.
yeah, it's like it's just so strong. I'm like, I remember when I first interviewed Bob Klein, he shared the story of how he found the passion for acting. So I would say when I was a kid, when I was a little kid, I used to go to the Chinese restaurant on Sunday night, like the rest of the Jews.
Yeah. That's true. We did that in Toronto.
Oh my
Toronto had
god.
no food. Toronto was a real white bread city, like
Mhm.
the white Catholic and Protestant city. They closed on Sunday. Nothing was open on Sundays when I was growing. And the only food you could get other than regular restaurant food was Chinese food. And I guess that's a Jewish culture thing or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was our big treat. We'd go for Chinese food.
Yeah, because it threw me completely off because before then I didn't know that Bob was of Jewish descent too. And I'm like,
I never thought about it, but Klein is a Jewish name. I just never thought about it.
yeah, it's just like, okay, so now it makes sense why they click more because he's also close with Jeff Nimoy and the Fon brothers too. So because he shared one story where they used to goof off doing what's the word I'm looking for? When they doing Walla session, the Walla Walla
Right.
sessions, they used to goof off and do a lot of cantankerous, schoolboy stuff. It's funny.
Right. Well, you tend to do that back in the day. They don't do it as much now. When you directed and there was a bunch of crowd stuff, you'd bring all the actors in at one time.
Mhm.
That was kind of helped me get started because I started to meet people. That's where I met Mikey and all these other people and Barbara Goodson and all these other folks was in these kind of sessions. And you'd have a ball. And Wendy Lee and everyone. Because we often try to make each other laugh and play and joke around. And that's where you got to meet everybody.
And you know what? And that's the best part. And I want to say, even way back in your day, back in the day, like before the 21st century, when y'all do these wild sessions, that's the only time you guys will actually interact in dubbing sessions, because it's usually just you, the director, the
Yeah,
engineer, sometimes even the client, the
yeah,
producers and whatnot.
yeah,
So for those wild sessions, that's like you said, it's like an opportunity to meet other actors and
yeah.
cahoots and develop a friendship.
Yeah, it was great. And it's not done anymore, or
Yeah,
very seldom done anymore, which is a shame for the young actors.
yeah,
And it's a shame for me because I like meeting all these the new younger people too. And I don't get to meet them as much because we don't do that. But yeah, that was so much fun. And yeah, you met all these funny people and cracking each other up and seeing,
yeah.
just trying to top each other and joke around. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I want to discuss this. So when the pandemic first hit, how did it affect you as a voiceover actor? Now you have to find that transition of doing voiceover at your own remote home studio. Did you have a hard time building
I
your
was
own?
I was lucky because again, because I don't just dub. Uh,
Right.
I had been doing audiobooks from home.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing radio commercials for clients outside of LA. So
That's right. That's right. Oh my
I
goodness.
already had, yeah, I do radio stuff too. And narration, and you do all kinds of things as an actor. So I already had a professional microphone and preamp and some soundproofing. I already had a pretty decent setup. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't totally together, but it was enough to do all that. So when the
Yeah.
pandemic hit, there was definitely a pause in everything because the studios went, "What are we going to do?" Because the actors started to say, "We can't come in."
Yeah.
They had to really go fast. But I
Yeah.
was lucky that when they contacted me and said, "Well, by any chance, do you have stuff at home?" And I went, "Yeah, I got all the equipment. I got a pro mic. I got professional everything. I just need to soundproof my windows. The only thing I haven't done." So I got soundproofing so that no sound could get in here. You can't see my office that I'm sitting in, but in front of me is all the soundproofing that I've
Mm-hmm.
got up on the wall and stuff. And I have a thing in my closet that I put up on the window. Anyway, I get this room with a real nice dead sound.
Yeah.
So it didn't affect me as much as it did other actors who had to kind of start from scratch,
Yeah.
uh, gathering equipment, whatever, or get used to recording with remote directors or recording themselves. I'd already
Yeah.
directed, I'd already recorded myself without, like when you do audiobooks, it's just
Yeah.
you. I recorded
Yeah.
it, I edited it. I was used to using Pro Tools to edit on. That's professional recording thing. So I already had some background in it pre-COVID. So I was
Yeah.
I was kind of ready to
Ready
go.
for sure. In
So
case something
I was
like
lucky.
this happening right now.
Yeah, exactly. So it didn't bang me as bad as it did actors who maybe had no experience recording from home or who
Yeah.
felt inhibited about, oh, well, I have to self-direct and I won't be able to look at the director in the booth or whatever it was that might have
Yeah.
bothered them.
Yeah, and I'm glad you shared that, because I had a feeling like for somebody like you definitely well can adapt, and it gave me another perspective, because I asked this before half a year ago before the summertime with Dorothy Fawn.
Mhm.
She told me when it first hit, she definitely had a hard time trying to transition because she's not really technical savvy, as
Right.
she openly shared with the fans too at conventions.
Sure.
So she
Neither am I particularly, but people guided me. Sorry to interrupt, but yeah, yeah.
no,
But it
you're
takes a
fine.
lot.
So it's like I'm glad that you able to find like you still able to continue your career. Like, there's a saying in show business saying the show must go on.
Oh
You gotta
yeah,
make sure you have the setup perfectly. Otherwise, we will find somebody that will, you know.
yeah. We can all be replaced. Doesn't matter if you're in the business for 40 plus years. The business can retire you. So yeah, you have to stay
Yeah.
viable. And you got to keep your skills honed. You've
Hmm.
got to continue to be never take it for
Yeah.
granted. I turn up at the studio 15 minutes early, and
Yeah.
I come in ready to work, and I don't care if the director's 12 years old. I'm going to give them respect and do what it's all these
Yeah.
things come into play. And yeah, and you got to adapt at home and whatever you got to do so that they go, oh yeah, he or she is easy to work with. They're fast, they're good, they get the job done, they're always polite, they're always easy to work with, they have a smile, whatever. Keep bringing them in. I want to keep doing this into my 90s if I can. Why not?
Right. And man, Doug, I could go through a whole list of what you've done in your career for the past 40 plus years, but you you've been involved with so many popular properties. Some of the ones that I really enjoyed from like Hellsing, Rave Masters.
Sure.
The one series that you've been doing in the recent couple of years, even before the pandemic, was the Fire Emblem series where Patrick Seiss was directing you. So I've been told by many other actors that work with Patrick, he's been a fantastic director, guiding you guys within the series. Like you played characters like the Duke and Gilbert. So what's it like coming into those regal kind of characters for the series like Fire Emblem? What's
Oh, a lot of fun. Well, first, let me say about Patrick, not only a great director, a wonderful guy,
Mhm.
terrific human being, really great guy. Love.
Yes.
Just was emailing with him the other day, actually, just sending some emails back and forth, not about a job, just other
Okay.
stuff.
Yeah.
I'll side for 1 second and then I'll jump back. As you see this cat in my lap, Patrick, among many other actors, I serve on the board of a no-kill cat rescue here in LA. I do charity work.
Oh.
So I've been volunteering, saving cats from the streets. I've been volunteering for 10 years, and I also serve on the board and do fundraising. So I used to do comedy when I first started as well on stage, comedy work.
Mhm.
So I do 2 fundraisers a year for the Kitty Bungalow Charm School for Wayward Cats here in LA.
Mm.
I do one with comedians. We had Catherine Hahn and Kirsten Vagsness were our headliners in our April Anna Musery show. And in the fall, I do a voiceover auction online. And people like Patrick and Richard Epcar and all those other folks that we're talking about, the Fawns, et cetera, contribute swag to the auction. And we do it online. And all the money goes to save the kitties. It
Oh.
all goes to our shelter, our nonprofit shelter, to help the kitties. And Patrick is one of the people who very kindly will just give stuff to the shelter so that we can sell it online to make money to save lives. So terrific guy. But anyway, that's a fun character because you like complex. I like complex
Me
characters.
too. Always.
And it's a lot more challenging to play and more fun to play, and it gets you involved. And Gilbert is somebody who's got conflicts, obviously, with his daughter, with his
Yeah.
loyalty,
Oh yeah.
and who does his loyalty lie with, and et cetera, et cetera. So that was a lot of fun. And Patrick knows the series backwards.
For
So yeah,
sure.
he's there, and he's not I've had directors, and I will not name names. I've had
Yeah.
directors
Sure.
who ask you for another take when they don't need one. There's certain, I mean, like ego can get involved, is what I'm
For
saying.
sure. For sure.
Where it's not just a take for technical, where they say, give me a second one just so we have it technically in case something happens to the first one. That can happen, and they'll want 2 takes. But I've had directors who ask you to do it this way, that way, this way, that way, and then they accept the first take, and you think, oh, dude, I had it the first time. I knew it. You must have known it. Come on, you're just showing off that you're the director. So
Yes.
it's nice to have directors like Patrick who just go, yeah, that got it. Great. We don't need to do it
Yeah.
again. Just give me one for safety. Got it? Let's move on. And if he does need it, and he says he needs something, you know it's true. It's
Yeah.
real. He's got a direction to give you because there's something you didn't know, that he needs him stronger, he needs him sadder, he needs him more power, whatever. And so, you go with the direction.
Yeah, and I've been told that the recording studio, Cup of Tea Productions, is a wonderful place to be inside when recording too. So like I know
Yeah.
you.
Lots of doggies and cats are there.
Yeah.
I love going to studios that are animal. I love dogs too. So
Yeah.
I love going to a place where there's animals. And when you walk in Cup of Tea, Danny, who's one of the partners, usually has at least 1 or 2 dogs there, and sometimes there's a cat there. So you're playing with the dogs and petting them. Oh, gotta
Yeah.
go. Oh, I was playing with a dog. Okay.
Aw.
So yeah, it's
Yeah.
always nice when it's comfortable and a family feel to it.
Yeah.
It's
And
nice.
and the last thing I want to note before I conclude this wonderful interview and this honor, this privilege too, Doug, thank you again. But there's one studio that I know you always had a pleasure and always feel comfortable performing various gigs with is NYAV Post with Michael Center Nicholas, Stephanie Shea. You worked on a recent series a couple of years called Fina Pirate Princess with
Yeah,
Michael
yeah.
Center Nicholas directing. Now, in my opinion, I say Michael Center Nicholas is one of the best directors when it comes to anime dubbing because he truly cares about what you guys have been doing, what you
Mhm.
guys give it all. So like, if he tell you to do something real, give it more impactful, you guys give it. That's what I want, Doug. thank you so much. And he's really passionate about casting an appropriate actor for appropriate character.
Right.
Michael's a great guy for sure, personally and professionally, in my opinion. So, going between you and Michael, what's it like working with him?
Oh, it was fun. I enjoyed working on FEMA, and you're right, I do enjoy working for them, and they're New York based. So most of
Mhm.
my recording for them, I've done maybe one or two sessions in LA where they did, but most of it's been remote like this,
Okay.
remote sessions. And Stephanie Shea, yeah, is very associated with them. So most of their stuff I auditioned for in their case. Once in a while, they might just say, we got something for you. Most of the time I audition, which is fine.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's very exacting, his directing, but I'm all for that. Again, if the director really knows what they want and you know there's a reason for it, that they're not blowing smoke, you
Yeah.
know, and just spinning wheels, but they're going, the thing is that, in 3 scenes from now, this is going to
Yep.
happen. So I want you to
Oh,
say the line this way because it's going to feed to that. And you go, cool, because you wanted to have that emotional or whatever through line. It's not just a story through line. There's sometimes an emotional through line where your character's maybe building
yeah.
up to something, and then you find out he actually loves. I think that's the one where it's the little girl that there is.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, and it turns
Yes.
out my guy loves this little girl. He feels like a dad to her. So which I really love because I'm very paternal by nature. So it's fun. I like playing characters like that. Um, uh, and he was kind of cartoony and comedic at the same time.
Yeah, he was.
So yeah, I'm all for it. I love being. I'm very cool with the director being specific when there's reason for it, and it's going to enhance
Yeah.
the overall production. I mean, that's what you want. You want to
Right.
be proud of the work, your work, and if the whole production has quality to it, then you
Yeah.
got all the more reason to be proud that you were associated with it. If the
Mhm.
fans are all watching going, oh man, everything about the acting in that was just great. Everybody was terrific. Whatever. You're thrilled that the other actors did great too. You want to be part of something that has that quality to it.
Mhm.
You know?
And then another thing, and my one final thing, of the many of the people you met in the business, who can you name that have been the most outstanding friend that you can say you have like a platonic bond? Because I know I can name so many actors that you encounter, and I know you've been good friends with a lot of them. Like you just said, Jeff Nimoy, Michael Sorge, the Fawn brothers. You got to meet up with them within the next week. Um,
Well, there's almost too many to name. I am
yeah,
very close to Michael Sorich or Michael McConaughey and
Michael
Melody.
McConaughey. Yeah.
They've also been very supportive of they are cat people, so they've been really supportive. But I've known Michael for years and years. I've known both of them for ages. So
Yeah.
even though they don't live in LA, we email and we stay in touch personally. There's so many. I don't know if you know the director Valeria Zunzun.
I
She
do
does
not.
she does a lot of live action dubbing,
Mhm.
and we're a good friend. We just had lunch like 2 days ago.
Oh,
We met
nice.
for lunch. Oh my gosh. Um, there's Bob Rosenfarb is not in voiceover, but I met him doing improv. Bob
Mhm.
was a showrunner. He used to run the show Who's the Boss?
Okay, yeah, I know that show now.
Yeah, and so he directed and wrote shows or whatever, but I met him through theater, and he and I go for lunch. So there's people I know from different
Different mediums of
aspects.
acting.
It's
Yeah.
not just dubbing. I know them from on camera. I know them from theater. I mean, most of my friends, Maravina Hamas is another actress you may not know. She does do dubbing and voice work. She's a Spanish and English actress who's a friend
Yeah.
of. So there's ton of, when you're in the business for a long enough time, most of your friends start to become people that you met in the business. One of
Yeah.
my best friends is a guy who moved here from Canada that
Yeah.
I used to do improv and sketch comedy with in Canada in 1982 or three.
Yeah.
And I've known his family since they were babies. And I've seen the family all the time. The kids are growing up. So most of my friends are in the business.
Yeah. And I
That's
can
just the way it is, you know.
yeah, and like I say, you already know about Aaron Fitzgerald too, right? Because he's from Canada too.
Yeah, I don't hang with Aaron, but I know Aaron.
So it's like, with so many of the older people that I knew that have been in the dubbing business from the 80s, I can name like Barbara Goodson, Robert Axelrod, Dave Mallow,
Yeah.
Edie Merman.
Yeah.
it's like these names, you know, you guys do it all. And I want to say, Doug Stone, thank you so much for your time. I enjoy all the things you've done and all the things you shared with me. It really means a lot to me that you share your privilege. The privilege of talking to you is, I can't thank you enough for this privilege. And
Well, it's
I'm,
my pleasure. I mean, for $10,000, I mean, it was worth it. I am getting $10,000, right?
huh?
But, did our connection fail? Oh, suddenly I'm not getting the audio anymore. What
That's a nice one, but in
happened?
all seriousness, no, and one of the things I want to thank you actors, you guys know when to make me laugh. You guys have a very unique sense of humor when it comes to your career and as a person. And just as I've seen in the past videos where you shown, you know, interacting with the in the con scene, you are a very decent human being
Oh,
for
thank you.
sure. And I really mean that. And somewhere along the line, hopefully I will see you in a future convention.
Knock on wood, man. I mean, this COVID, because I'm an older guy and
Yeah, for sure.
I have old
Understand.
autoimmune issues and stuff, so I've really kind of pulled back, uh,
Yeah.
from doing a lot of things, unfortunately, socially. But yeah, I'm really hoping that it gets past the point where I have to be concerned and I can start to get out to conventions and meet the fans again and get on planes without being worried and travel more. And
Yeah.
so hopefully we will fist bump at a convention and you'll remind me and you'll say I got the 10,000
Yeah, yeah,
right here. Don't tell the other actors because I didn't pay them.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. And with that said, Doug, you enjoy the rest of your night, and
Thanks,
thank
man.
you again so much for your time.
Sure thing.
And you take care, sir. I mean,
You
take care,
too.
sir.
You too. Take care, man.
All right, bye.